Everybody, most people know me. I've been at UCF for 30 plus years now. I'm in the Department of Industrial Engineering, Management Systems. May know me mainly for the incubation and stuff I did and with the research office for a long time. This particular project that I've been working on is kind of a high level stuff. So it's going to be a much different level of granularity than what you've been seeing in the other presentations. But I've been working with a group from the Lemelson Foundation and VentureWell, and one of only 5 universities in the US that received this pilot program. They developed a thing called Engineering for One Planet. So what my job today here would be, if I was successful, is really to plant some seeds in your head about how you can start inserting stuff into your curriculum, into the heads of your students, to have them think a little bit bigger picture when it comes to how they make their designs and the learning outcomes they do, and really just start to see, hopefully we can start a movement here at UCF, which is what the Lemelson Foundation wants to do. And I'll give you the overview starting now. So I guess everybody knows we've got issues with the environment, with overcrowding, and a lot of natural resources being used at disproportionate rates, and things going on with waste. And if you look at the TV, all the plastic floating around. So all this stuff is being kind of making the negative impact on our environment and the way we live. So how do we start thinking about that as engineers in the very early stages as we're making our designs and the material choices used and the things that our students will do in the next generation in terms of preparing the planet to be more sustainable and more robust in terms of the design, the materials, the stuff we do every day to help the planet become safer, more robust, more secure, and the fact that we're inserting less harm, doing less harm, if you will, in the environment, and creating a better place for resources to grow and thrive, and same with people and the things that we do. A lot of higher education leaders and faculty are really figuring out how they can do this, really by planting the seeds, not only in the faculty and the way you do your research, but with the students for the next generation of folks, thinking about how they can make a difference in the planet by their daily interactions and their designs mainly. So several National Academy engineers were behind this thing. They created a report, and they designed a thing called the Engineering for One Planet Initiative. But they knew that getting faculty to insert stuff in their curriculum, or having the department chairs support this, or having deans and other research do it, it had to align what the values were and what the universities had to accomplish in their daily stuff. So a lot of this stuff was aligned with ABET, the ABET learning outcomes for students. And so you'll see that stuff in there. Certainly some of the programs requires ethical and professional responsibilities in engineering students and to help them make better informed decisions. But it's not just about the environment, it's all about how you put this thing together in terms of the business environments, the communications, the faculty and the students, to make the continuation of life on our planet more world sustainable for everybody, and targeting the people that are more susceptible to negative impacts of the environment. So this is Engineering for One Planet. This wasn't the original name, but I kind of like it. Lemelson is I've been doing work with Lemelson Foundation and VentureWell for almost 25 years now. VentureWell used to be the National Collegiate Inventors and Innovators Alliance. So they rebranded themselves and redid it. And they manage a lot of things. They actually manage the I-Corps program for NSF. So they're engaged with a lot of engineering and science programs. And this came out of that. And there was a woman named Cindy Calberth actually was the one that penned all these ideas and put them into this format. And they worked on this for many years, but the notion is slowly but steady transforming the engineering education to enable engineering students of the future to have just a little more things in their toolbox to help them with their design and their thought process to engineer things to make a more sustainable planet. And who could say that would be wrong, right? So it is a collaborative approach. They realize that no one's going to be able to tackle such a big, high-level initiative by themselves. So how do they get industry, government, and certainly academics and students all working together to make this thing better? Slow incremental steps, some curriculum change here, another curriculum change there. Expose students to practical experiences will help them understand how these things all work together. and harness the knowledge of everybody working together to really impart on our next generation of students a thinking that's going to be different than we have now and have certainly have had in the past. And trying to get as many people to contribute from diverse backgrounds and experiences to make this thing so it serves everybody and doesn't become more targeted for a certain group. So this is what I just said in other words. So how do you make this reason? How do we work together to make the social, cultural, and business and economic factors play in this environmental context to make it better? We're doing this actually, and I'll backstep for a second. One of the original things that got me into this was our former director of sustainability at UCF, is a guy named David Norville. And his biggest complaint was he was trying to engage engineering and helping him meet his goals and objectives as an office. So we do have an office. It's a very small office. Last time I checked, it was actually one person. So we need to kind of work on that. But we do have people trying to make the university campus itself better. So if we can actually be at the table with them as engineers and engineering students to help them accomplish their goals, it would be better and move forward this whole initiative. So this is the ABET issues directly addressed with the framework. Students have to have these 5 things: the ability to identify and formulate and solve complex engineering problems, science using science, math, engineering principles, ability to apply engineering design with solutions that meet specific needs with consideration of public health, safety, welfare, and other larger picture items they need to include in their design factors. The ability to communicate effectively with a large range of audiences. We work on that a lot in our college, more than I did when I was getting my double E degree. So it's good to see that we're trying to get students how to make pitches, to present their ideas and present their findings in a way that makes sense, and how to function a team. One of the things I know in the industrial engineering capstone class is I have to evaluate every team I have there to see if they can function as a team. And some do better than others, as you all probably know. So this is the other thing they try to do in terms of making this a collaborative initiative, is they really went to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, these SDGs, and tried to incorporate a lot of things that that initiative have. And again, one of the 17 is directly tied to the ABET and stuff we're trying to do in the college engineering field. Goal number 12, which is ensure sustainable consumptions and production patterns. So this is obviously they didn't run on words and they're trying to find this thing, but the whole notion is to help people do this stuff. It's not a new discipline. It's something they want to lay over all disciplines and maybe influence people of future generations to include these principles to make the world better, and actually make engineering education curriculum have an input into the outcome of these students, so they become better engineers in the future. They will be better prepared to be environmentally responsible, and as well taking in the business factors and other social factors have to make it actually work. And this is what we do. You line it with ABET. It's really driven by systems thinking, a new initiative we have. So I think that's one reason that we're in a good position to make this thing actually work, is the new systems thinking degree programs we're doing in industrial engineering. And I actually teach a systems thinking class. Really, it fits wellness thing, and systems thinking is the core of this whole initiative. And there it is. You'll see this is the legend. Boy, I want to give everybody, make this presentation available because we don't have time to get through it, and really at the granular level. But these are the leading initiatives, the framework, if you will. Systems thinking is in the behavior. They try to really make the knowledge and understanding better through environmental literacy and responsible business and economy. The whole social responsibility has a bunch of, and each one of these pie shapes, if you will, have outcomes that we're talking about. That's either tied to ABET. This one here will tell the student, the one with the triangle here will tell you this is tied to the accreditation board, the ABET stuff. This is the framework here is really tied, the infinity sign here, it means it's really tied to the SDG goals. And I'll just give you some examples. This is all the outcomes they want in a very busy, very complex slide, but system thinking is what's in the center of this whole initiative. These are the 3 things on the bigger inner rings. knowledge and understanding what they really want the students to understand when they finish. If you can insert these kind of understanding things into your curriculum, make it easy. Why would students learn these stuff? What's most critically important for the students to be aware of, be familiar with, and learn how to understand when they get out of the world. We want to give them a better understanding of environmental literacy, social responsibility, and what's really a responsible way to be with business and the economy. We need to teach them skills, experience, and behaviors. What can you do practically to help them? I like this in what practical experience can we do to engineers to make this stuff hit home so they get a better understanding of the importance of this whole initiative. The technical skills all the way from designing to how they choose their materials to lessen the environmental impact of their work. And the leadership skills, the communication and team working, the critical thinking, and the system thinking, which layers all on top of all these things. And what I'll share with you, again, is each one of those initiatives have what they call the core, and they have the advanced outcomes. You start with the core because they're easier, lower hanging fruit. The advance is for maybe years from now, once you've taken root, once you've figured out what works well with your students. And by the way, I will say this as a sidebar. Since I've been doing some of this in my class, the students really seem to be better. I think I've gotten better student outcome perception grades since I've been inserting this in my curriculum than I've ever had. So it does seem to be welcome. I don't think it's something that students are going to feel they're getting forced to do and they're not already on board with it. And they're probably pushing us to do it. It's all listed separately, but we really want the student outcomes to be across a broad spectrum of classes and curriculums and disciplines. So keep that in mind. Many practical stuff that you can do to do it. Here's just an example how and I got a slide for each one of these things, but there's the core set of things you're trying to accomplish, what we're trying to get you to consider when you're doing your curriculum. And each one of these has these things. The advanced stuff is much more complicated. But we have these slides to help you think. I hope we can trigger some neurons in your development time, that when you do your next round or revision of your curriculum, you'll think about how to add these things to your stuff. And with that, I only have 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna just release control back to Patrick.